Guys, this is Hannah Kate in Boston, Massachusetts. First of all, so sorry for not getting out an update sooner. I am working on a written update. I've been busy and very writer's blocked, but I am working on it. And so thank you for your patience, and thank you so much for your prayers and other ways of giving. I've been so exceedingly blessed. I will get to a financial update later. For those of you who don't know, I am, as I said, in Boston, Massachusetts with an organization, YWAM, or Youth with a Mission, doing a discipleship training school, or as we call it, a DTS. We love our acronyms. YWAM is a global missions that has bases all over the world. And one of their big things is equipping and teaching youth to how to do missions and how to be leaders. And some people will then go into full-time missions. Others are just like more equipped to learn how to do missions in everyday life, know more about God. So in the mornings, we do classes about God. Week 1 was character and nature of God. Week 2 was hearing the voice of God. And then this past week was destiny and identity, like in God. And in the afternoon, since I'm at actually what is a creative arts DTS, in the afternoons, twice a week, we have classes in a particular emphasis of that. We have our primary emphasis that we've chosen of creative arts. Mine, surprise, if anyone knows me, is acting and theater. And then we have a once a week we do a secondary, and mine is production or shop. So kind of working on the backstage side of theater. Loving it. It's been so great. Love, like Amanda and John, if you guys are watching this, shout out to you guys. They're the leaders of the theater. They are amazing. They are so much fun. They're also married, and they're like marriage goals. So you guys are awesome. Learning a lot from you guys already. It's been really great. And then we'll do like 3 to 4 months of training, and then we do 2 to 3 months of outreach. And for our particular outreach, we are putting together a show called Encounter. It goes through the creation, fall, and then the death and resurrection of Jesus. And then we end in a time of worship, and then there's like dancing and music and stuff, and it's really awesome. Like dancing isn't like choreographed dancing, just to explain. And then we get to go and pray with the audience, and we'll be touring that around the United States come January. Roles just came out for that, and I got the role of narrator. So really excited to get into rehearsal and to just like get working on this show. Excited to see how God's going to use that. So yeah, that's kind of a basic overview of what we've been doing. A couple of really cool specific stories of ways God has been working here already. Oh, yeah, sorry. I'm super distracted. I can't remember if I said that there are 23 students, 18 girls, and 5 guys, and that we are or not all of us, all the girls are in one room sharing one bathroom. It's gone surprisingly well. Shout out to all my roommates. If you guys are watching, you guys are fantastic. And it's been an awesome experience. Everybody here, leaders, students, are just incredible. So thankful to be here.
It's awesome!
That was Sitska. We actually have 2 girls from Holland, a girl from Austria, a girl from Germany, a girl from Spain, and a guy from Denmark. So that's been really awesome to just like connect with people from around the world and hear other languages that I've never really heard spoken before. Just like, be walking down the hall and hear people talking in Dutch. It's super awesome. So that's another really awesome thing. Yeah, so some specific stories. Our first week, so that was like, 2-3 weeks ago, we had a time of, we call it intercession. So it's a time of praying and praising together as a community, but also just kind of trying to be open to what God has and to hear his voice and say, like, God, what do you want us to pray for? What are you trying to tell us right now? Is there a word of encouragement that someone around here needs? Going blank on words. I'm so sorry. And that particular day was the same day that my mom, all the way off in Iowa, was volunteering at a place she volunteers once a week. It's a crisis pregnancy center. It's kind of trying to give women pregnant women an alternative to an abortion clinic, so that they can help them. Like, they give classes, they have like a little store with some basic needs and just like various other things. It's also a place for dads to go. Shout out to anyone in Iowa if you have any interest in that for any particular reason, or like anyone anywhere. Yeah, feel free to message me and I can tell you more. So that's a thing. Anyway, so like that, she was there, and during the intercession, a girl had a vision with a word that also happens to be the name of that place, and I was like, well, that's kind of weird. Maybe it's a coincidence. And then another girl ended up having a vision of a young woman at an abortion clinic trying to decide whether or not to get an abortion, and she kept hearing the girl's name, and I was like, well, I need to text my mom. And there was a girl with that name trying to decide, who had just come in that day, who hadn't decided whether or not to keep the baby. She'd actually been like kind of leaning abortion, but by the time she left, she'd asked if she could bring her boyfriend in to see a sonogram. They called him a week later, and they are both, or that she is still pregnant. So please keep praying for her. We've been trying to all like excitedly, like dutifully as well, but regularly pray for her and fight for her. And it was just a really awesome way to see how God has connected the body of Christ in all, like, that was, states away, and we got to fight the spiritual battle for a young woman, and also be an encouragement to my mom and the other workers there. So that was super awesome. And then the next week, we actually had a healing of one of the girls in our in the class. I will say, so in case anyone is like, oh my gosh, what is this thing? So YWAM is what often people refer to as a little more charismatic in the Christian movement. It's definitely a new experience for me, and so that's been very interesting. I've learned a lot, but there are times that I'm like, this is new, this is uncomfortable, but it is cool to see, like, remember, like, we serve a very, very powerful God, and he is at work, and to, humbly and respectfully, knowing that, he doesn't always work the ways we want him to, but to say, like, God, you're powerful, and we have your spirit in us, and so that means we have this, like, level of power in and from you. So that's been really awesome to just, like, remember what a powerful God we serve. So this one girl, her name is Phoebe. She has an autoimmune disease, or had, I guess, that attacked her eyes, and so she had a lot of scar tissue and was legally blind. And she'd been feeling like God was saying, hey, you need to start praying for your eyes again. And she was like, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to be disappointed. And then she had a friend from home be like, hey, I think you should start praying for your eyes. And she's like, well, darn it. So she started praying. A couple of us got to pray with her. It was just a really beautiful thing. Her eyes got a little better, but she felt like God was saying to leave her glasses in our prayer room until Thursday. And then she realized Thursday was her birthday, and felt like God was saying, you're going to be healed on Thursday. So and that was like Sunday or Monday. So we're all praying and just like, okay, God, like, we trust you. And Thursday she went down, got her glasses, prayed, didn't feel like a huge difference was made. And we're like, okay, like, God, we trust you. God, you're still at work. And that week was on Hearing the Voice of God. And one of our speakers that week, shout out to you, Brandy, was like, just like speaking truth over the different people, some of the different people in our group, and like prophesying, not a big scary word, just being like, hey, I feel like God is saying these things about you, and not like, oh, go change your, like, make a life decision, but just like this is who you are in Christ, and you're free, and all these like beautiful, beautiful things. And this one kid, she was like, I feel like you're really struggling with your past, and you need to know that you are, like, I see you being a safe place for women and a healer of women. Like, God's going to use you in that way. And I think you need to go pray for Phoebe. So he prayed over her, and her eyes were healed. And it was just so cool, because it was like they both were healed in that moment. And it was just so powerful. And also the same day, 2 girls who'd been really, really struggling with depression were just like set free of that. And it's been so cool to see their joy since then. That same week, I actually had, sorry, I'm trying to go through fast because I don't have much memory in my camera on my phone. So I am so sorry. But I had I'd been really struggling, feeling like my heart was hardened, struggling to worship, and been praying through that, but hadn't really talked to anybody, and had used in my prayers a number of times feeling like my heart was hard. Friday, so the healing was on Thursday. Friday, after that, during intercession, one of the wonderful women, Sylvia, you're awesome, was worshiping with us in intercession. She works at the base, and she came over to me and was like, I just feel like God's telling me that, yeah, your heart's hard right now, but he's healing that, and he's taking away the hardness, and it's from the hard things you've been through recently, and he's working, and you don't need to be ashamed of that. And to be told that God had heard my prayer, that he was working, that I didn't need to feel really embarrassed about where I was, but then also that I didn't have to get myself to a certain point to feel and meet God, because I know that's true, but just didn't feel that at that time, was just so awesome and freeing. And then this week, I may have mentioned before that I've had very severe writer's block, and if you don't know, I'm a poet and a writer, and so that's been really discouraging. And actually on Friday of last week, or not this past week, the week before, when Sylvia had come and talked to me, I felt like before that God had said, the reason you can't write right now is because you just need to hear my poetry, and because my poetry is what's going to heal your heart and not yours. And so there was peace in that, and a blessing in that. But it's still hard. Well, this week we were talking about identity, and so in case you guys don't know, I struggled really intensely with depression this past spring. Okay, sorry, my phone just said it was full, so I had to go delete some stuff. So what I was saying, she was talking about depression. I'm not depressed currently, doing so much better, but still felt like that was kind of an identity thing. And so as she was speaking, I just started writing page after page of I'm not depressed, I am beloved, and just all these things of I am not, this is who I am, I am not blank, I am blank, in Christ. And then afterwards she was like, okay, go sit and take time and ask God to show him who you are in him. And I was like, well, I just kind of did that. So I sat down and started reading it, and was like, this is poetic, and felt like God was saying, hey, turn this into a poem. So it's pretty rough, but it was just a huge blessing to not only feel the freedom of this is not my identity anymore, but the freedom of God saying of this is who I am. Of course, a couple days later was struggling with it again, so still would love prayer for that, and still struggling, but it was just a really awesome moment. So yeah. So now a couple of just prayer requests and financial update. I have made a couple of these videos that I've had to end up scrapping, so I can't remember what I've said in each one, but I am completely funded for tuition and travel, and outreach costs. So thank you, huge thank you to everyone who's given. I was literally, it's been less than 2 months since I was accepted and started sending stuff out. God has blown me away. He kept giving me the story of when Jesus told the disciples to cast their nets on the other side after a night of catching nothing, and they were overwhelmed by the amount of fish. I definitely feel like that's what God has done, and thank you for everyone who was a part of that, and thank you for everyone who wasn't able to give but have been giving your prayers. That is also just an amazing gift. I will say I do still have needs. I don't have I need we have to provide food some days, and we have stuff at the base, but it's not necessarily the healthiest or most all around meals. So definitely still needing some money for basic supplies and stuff. And if you feel called to give in that way, please contact me. Money to the church, sent to the church, as the other stuff was, they can't be legal stuff, but can't be used in that way. So please let me know, and I will tell you how and where to send that stuff. Okay, what next? Sorry. Also, this is such a minor need, and I feel silly asking, but I have a pair of headphones that I've been using and love, but they're shorting out, and pause and are super annoying. Pause before I want them to, or skip around. And in a house full of people, it's hard to find quiet space, and so that's kind of how I use it. And then we'll also be in vans during outreach, and so if someone feels led, I'm just like asking God for provision of a decent pair of headphones. Not asking for something like ridiculously fancy, but if you feel led in that way, that would be a huge blessing. I also need like winter boots. I have a pair at home, but I think they have like holes in them. I might have them with me, but just if you feel led to give something like that, I wear a 9.5 to 10 in women's. Would really, really appreciate that and love that. Other prayer requests, and so just also be praying for meeting those needs. Other prayer requests, I have a very bad back that has been acting up recently. It's been affecting my night's sleep and affecting what I can do. So if you guys could be praying for healing and just wisdom as how to move forward with that. Also, health, there's like just sicknesses have started to go around, and just continued health for everyone who isn't sick, and then healing for those who are. You could also pray, it's getting into a month, and so the honeymoon phase is ending, and that we'll all continue to be just really gracious and loving and get along well. Additionally, we have a outreach coming up where we will be going to Salem, as in, yes, the Salem witch trials, and we'll be going on Halloween, and there's a lot of stuff happening there, and we're going to be partnering with another ministry, just kind of trying to reach people. So if you could go ahead and start covering with that with prayer, that would be fantastic. Also prayer for us as we get into rehearsals for our show, and for however God's going to use that. And that we'll just be really, really full of Christ wherever we go. Also, another thing, prayer for finding a church. There's a lot of churches around here. I've gone to a couple really neat places, but the one that I really want to go to is like kind of farish away, and I can't afford an Uber every day. So or every Sunday. So if just like prayer that God provides in some way, or provides a different church. So something that's just like, oh, this is where I'm supposed to be. So continued prayer for all of that. So sorry. Apparently my photos filled up again, so took care of that. Yeah, but just like quickly, what I was saying, please pray for the girl who's making the decision about the abortion. We're all trying to like over here pray regularly for her. I don't know if I know I was talking about our outreach in Salem. Please be praying over that. Pray over the outreach we're going to be doing in the future. Yeah, I feel like that's probably about it. If you guys have any questions, feel free to comment below, or if you have my number or friends with me on Facebook or whatever, please shoot me a message, give me a call, whatever. I'd love to hear from you guys. And again, thank you for all the prayers and support. I have just been so exceedingly blessed. Yeah, so God bless everybody. I love you guys.